Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Meet the Musicians in Your Neighborhood, coming to you live from Treaty 6 territory in the homeland of the Métis. And tonight we have another singer. June is Opera Month here in Saskatoon, and we're welcoming some wonderful singers, and everyone knows this singer, of course. It's Tenor, as he's written right there, Spencer McKnight. Hi, Spencer. How you doing?
Hi, doing well. And how are you, Eric?
I'm good. Where are you broadcasting from?
I'm in Outlook at home. So.
Okay, you're there with your mom in Outlook, excuse me. And tell us, you're in Outlook now, but where did you grow up?
I grew up in Leroy, Saskatchewan. So I was there until I was 18 and moved to Saskatoon for university.
Okay. And did you... Now, I know you've spent time in Saskatoon, of course, and also in Toronto for your training.
Yeah. I was in. I did a degree in political science in Saskatoon, and then I went to Toronto and studied voice there.
Okay, yeah. And this is an out of left field question. Has poli-sci in some way influenced your singing?
Probably not.
Was there a specialty of poli-sci that you focused on?
Canadian political systems mostly.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's especially in the world today, and how opera fits in and singing fits in, and the arts in general, of political systems and systems that we've built over the years. I'm sure you have a lot of things to say and to have experience in that whole realm.
Yeah. It's I wouldn't say that I think my degree was useless, because it has helped me in a lot of ways, at least ways of thinking about things, and I did learn a lot at it, which is good, and definitely have opinions about things.
That's great. And so but then you went to U of T for voice. And how did you get into voice? I know kind of this story, but tell the audience how you got into singing.
Okay, it's kind of like I came to singing fairly late. It started through like downloading music. Basically, it kind of starts with just when I started listening to classical music. My grandfather was really into like Irish folk music and Irish drinking music, and so I'd go home and download on WinMX back in the day, and
nice.
And half of the stuff was by like the Irish tenors, and so that kind of leads you to like anything that says the and tenor, then the three tenors would pop up, and then in the days of YouTube, I would find them and kind of search through things and started singing along, and then a friend of mine, or two friends of mine, and I went to Phantom of the Opera. And on the way to the drive home, my one friend turned to me. She was in music lessons, and she said, "Next year we're doing a duet from that in music festival, so start taking lessons." And I was like, "Great, deal."
Nice. And so you started taking lessons in Leroy, and then started doing festival and.
Yeah, and through festival, I met all the teachers that I've had, and Lisa Hornung. I had an adjudicator who basically said, "You need to come to this voice school that I teach at every summer," and that was Lisa's summer school. And, so I went, and here we are.
Nice. I know personally your love of Irish music, because the first year I was here, we were doing the opera together, and one of the nights, it was I think Friday night, where I think we get Saturdays off, and so it was a Friday night. The whole cast and crew, we went to Fiona McCool's, and I think Kim de la Forest was playing.
Yeah, it was Kim and
what's his name from East Coast?
Yeah.
Anyway, they were playing a whole Irish night full of music, and you sang along to almost every single tune. I was sitting at the table with you, and I was so impressed. I was like, "Hold on, Spencer, I did not know this part of you," and it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I have a deep breadth of knowledge about Irish music, it seems.
Yeah, it started off with your grandfather, and then
Yeah.
YouTube got you on the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Great. And you, of course, are involved in opera. Last summer, you're in Italy singing opera, Don Giovanni, I believe. You're also on the opera board of the Saskatoon Opera. And I know Traviata is postponed until next year, but you sing Irish tunes, obviously, from before. We performed many times together. Messiah, Bach, Mozart, Rebecca Dale,
Yes.
many things. But that's mostly concert music. And then you've, of course, sung opera. So do you have a favorite? What is your leaning? How do you feel about it all?
It's all different.
Mm-hmm.
I think artistically, one of my favorite things is doing recitals. Just because, you and, Mark Turner and I work together on them. And so it's always nice to kind of take an idea and you decide what you're doing and you get to do everything about it. And it's very artistically fulfilling because you kind of get to dig into everything and you make it your own. Singing with orchestras is always a blast just because it's very fun to sing over top of an orchestra. I mean, it's and it's more, when there's two of you on stage, it's a very intimate connection. But when it's a whole group, it is like a communal experience in a way that is very different. They're just such different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Opera is just a blast. I mean, it can be very stressful. Last summer we had a lot of stressful things happen in Italy, but as a cast, you tend to always, you become like fast friends for like the 6 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever it is, and you just have you share this moment in time with someone that it's hard to explain in a way, but it's such a almost lifelong bond in a way that you get with someone.
Well, we were talking about this last week with Andrea Lett, how opera is almost like summer camp in a way, where you're thrown together. You might know someone, you might have heard of someone, and like you say, you're thrown together for 4, 6, 8 weeks, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's so intense. Like you're doing, first of all, you're doing read-throughs, then you're doing blocking, then you're doing the music, of course, but there's so much more. There's the acting. If you have recits, there's all of the diction, everything, and put that together when you've got a music director, a director, coaches, repetiteurs, everything, all the rest of the cast, and you miss your mark, you miss this, and there's I shouldn't say miss this. You hit this, and you hit all these marks, and do it all. But there's something incredible about that, going through all of that day after day, and it's an exciting thing, and it's so different. The opera world is that concept made big by the composer or director or whoever, whereas your own recital, like you mentioned, you're kind of the director, where you can make a theme and then put these things into that recital. Yeah. We've already got questions coming in. Pavana wants to know how long you've been singing and at what age. We kind of touched on this a little bit.
Yeah, well, I started taking serious voice lessons at 17, and I mean, I sang along to things before that, but yeah, that's when I started actually singing. Okay,
and so you've had a long experience already in it.
Yeah.
And Michelle wants to know what would be your ultimate opera role to sing?
That's rude to ask, Michelle, because it's very hard. Let's say Peter Grimes. I think Peter Grimes is probably,
Oh, good choice.
It's a big role, but I mean, how often does a tenor get a mad scene? I mean, it's
So what do you love the music of Britain?
Yes, I love Britain's music. Britain's music really is what got me into loving English opera, and now I listen to probably English opera more than almost anything else. It's modern and new opera.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's nothing like Britain opera. I mean,
Right.
they're like his writing alone is so different, and then it has that full on English um, taste, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And Peter Grimes, whoa, what a story! First of all, but then the music and everything on top of that,
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah. Ella's always here. It's so wonderful to always see you, Ella. Hi, Spencer. Great to see you again. Given all the training, how difficult do you find to project your voice over orchestra without amplification? Good question.
Well, it depends on the piece itself. That's how kind of dense the orchestration is. I mean, for Messiah, I don't really worry about amplification so much with it, because it seems it's fairly well written for the voice to go over. I mean, it's never, for my part anyway, it's never that dense. I mean, in every valley it gets a bit dense, but it's kind of in between when I'm singing, like you know, tenor has a line and then the strings kind of finish it.
Right.
Whereas, you know, sometimes in the Vocalist Bach piece, there was one, the that piece itself is low for me anyway, and so I know in that one I had to kind of really concentrate a bit more on adding some kind of almost more forward projection just to get over it. It wasn't like it was harder work, but just a little bit more fine-tuned in a way that you kind of have to think about that. And then of course at Tissue Place for the Maternal Requiem, some things are just written in a way that it has to be amplified, and that's okay too. It was still, you know, really enjoyable to do.
Right. And that's just it. And Rebecca writes beautifully for the voice, and also with the density you talked about, how big the orchestration is, or whenever someone's singing. And Rebecca did an incredible job of that. But sometimes you have to play with that with the acoustic, and it worked beautifully in that situation. But you're right in terms of like you say, different repertoire, even Baroque, like you say, Handel and Bach, two similar composers. And you write exactly the same time, but different uses of the voice.
Yeah, exactly. And even just in the way they wrote for the voice. I mean, Handel wrote really operatically in a way, and then Bach wrote as if the voice was a violin, kind of in some respects.
Right.
But it works. It really does work. It's a very different sensibility in the way that they wrote.
Well, and I was going to ask you, you said you're a big fan of British opera or English opera, and I was going to say also Baroque stuff from English because of Handel. And Handel, of course, Messiah and all those oratorios came after a very successful opera company that he had, and then it went bankrupt because of the fad went out of fashion. But you're right, Handel has that operatic thing to all of his oratorios, whereas Handel wrote for the church, wrote for every Sunday. Of course, also secular works, but it's very noticeable in his voice writing.
Yeah.
Do you have you sung any English, like Purcell or other?
I've sung some Purcell. I think who else from that era. I tend to stick with more the Handel Baroque stuff, and and then as far as like English art song, a lot of the stuff I really like is kind of between like 1880 and 1940, kind of that era.
But for example,
you know, Ralph Vaughan Williams and Butterworth. William Dennis Brown, who's my favorite composer, even though he only has 6 songs that are out there. But just kind of that sort of era. It's very, I don't know, it's folk songy, but also some of it is so complex, but still sounds just it's easy to listen to, and it's really enjoyable to sing.
Yeah, it's a perfect way of summing it up. It is complex, but it's almost for the people, and this is the Renaissance of English music, because from the Baroque till around 1860 or so, the British or the English didn't have that many famous composers at all.
No.
And then all of a sudden, like you mentioned, the early 1900s, Vaughan Williams, Elgar, Finzi, all these composers, Butterworth, of course, and the ones you mentioned. There's this eruption of very distinct English music. Oh man, we've got some good questions that came in. Arlene says, "Hi Spencer, big fan." Natal, who just did some incredible baking today. If you saw her post on Facebook, who are or is your favorite tenor?
So my first tenor love is Jose Carreras. He's I would like to say that I feel like I learned how to sing pianissimo from just basically copying him. Right. And then, other than him, I mean, Javier Camarena, Lawrence Brownlee, there's who else? Peter Schreier. I mean, Fritz Wunderlich.
You're going back. This is great.
On and on,
Yeah. Do you have a particular Peter Grimes recording that you love?
I mean, the John Vickers one is very good. Mm-hmm. And I saw Ben Heppner do it live, which was amazing. As far as recording, I'll have to get back to that one. I might go with, I think the John Vickers might be my favorite.
Okay.
There are a lot of really good ones. I like, it's a role that people take such different points of view for. So yeah.
And the Heppner one, was that 2012, 2013, 14, somewhere?
I think it was 2013.
Yeah, I remember that run.
2013 February, I think.
Okay, down to the exact month. And I think that was one of his last full operas that he sang.
Yeah. Oh no, maybe it was later than that. I'm thinking. No, I'm thinking I saw Tristan with him in February. Okay, I think it was that next season, the 2013-14.
Right.
But yeah, it was his. He retired from opera after it. I think it was one of his last. That season anyway was his last.
Yeah, two great Canadian tenors, John Vickers and Ben Heppner. Yeah, incredible stuff. Phil Sievert, who's in the choir, the SSO chorus, he wants to know. He's always amazed how you negotiate the fast passages in the Messiah arias, even at an accelerated Eric Paetkau tempo. Well, actually, this is, so I always meet with the soloist beforehand, and we discuss tempos. And Spencer is the one which I love because you always want to go fast. And so we match tempos quite easily. And he asks, is that a natural talent, or how do you work to do that with such ease?
It's hard work. Melismatic passages. It's one of those things. It's hard to explain how to do them to people. It's hard to. I think some of it might be a bit innate, maybe. But it also is just a lot of hard work. It's a lot of air movement. It's a lot of, but I find it easier at a faster tempo generally than at a slow tempo. Especially, and that's just I think learning those arias when you're learning them and it's a bit slower, I found it kind of difficult to do at times. And then I listened to here's another favorite tenor of mine, John Mark Ainsley. There's a recording of him doing. The entire Messiah anyway, but there's the Thou Shalt Break Them. It's the fastest recording that he's done, but he usually takes it fast. But it's like a minute and 50 seconds, start to finish, boom, boom. And I listened to it, that's really cool. And I tried just singing faster than what I was doing, and it became much easier.
Well, I think like you said, when you learn it so well, you put in all that hard work.
Yeah.
And especially at a slower tempo, so that when you work it up, and there's so many times when when quicker tempos are simply easier, especially when you have that bass, not when you have that tenor. No, when you have the bass to do all this crazy stuff, and then it's fun. Like I know the words to "Thou shalt break them" is not it's not the most smiley text, but I almost always smile right before we start that because I'm like, here we go. It's going to be a barn burner, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun when we take those.
It is. Yeah. And I don't know. I just feel like that aria kind of needs it in some ways.
Yeah, and it's like you say, it's like just over a minute of like from here to here, and there's no slowing down. There's just like right to the end. Yeah. And of course, that sets up what comes afterward. So there's been, we've talked a lot about Messiah. Have you done any other Handel oratorios or arias from other oratorios?
I've done some of the arias from Esther, his first oratorio, which is actually oddly, it's very pretty, it's very well written, but it has like 4 tenor parts in it, which is ridiculous. Can't find that many tenors anywhere.
No.
And what else? There's Samson. I've done stuff from that. What else? And then opera arias. I've done Acis and Galatea. I've done this from that, and what else? I worked on an aria from Hercules that he does, which is really fun, but I've never had a reason to really use it for anything. But it's eventually one day I'll find a reason to use it for something. But it's another kind of fun, fast, sort of full of lots of fun melismatic passages sort of piece.
Yeah, and the you have a voice, a particular voice that I think is so well suited for instance, evangelists like Bach, Matthew, St. John's. Have you first of all sung those, or do you have a desire to sing evangelist roles?
Yes, I would love to sing the evangelist roles. It's kind of, I have the scores sitting around, and every so often, I mean, I've got time now, so I mean, maybe I should look at them again, but to look at them, because I think that'll be a really good step at some point to do, because it's such beautiful, moving music, really.
It's incredible, and the evangelist is storytelling. It's the other characters, you can call them characters, fill in that story in different ways, but the evangelist is so direct. Bach makes it just like it really hits you right there. Ellen wants to know, do you play any other musical instruments, or do you play any musical instruments?
No.
Well, you do have a piano behind you there.
So I play it well enough to help myself practice, but I wouldn't say that I call what I do playing a piano. It's more plugging.
Do you desire to learn an instrument?
I growing up, I took piano for a year, and I wish I did not quit when I did. But anyway, and then I asked for a violin for Christmas one year, and I took lessons on that, and I've learned since that stringed instruments and I do not get along, because I tried guitar at one point too, and it's just the whole this part is it I don't know, it doesn't compute in my brain.
Right. Okay. And I mean, I think, was it Andrea or someone I was talking about the guitar and the piano you can actually sing along to, because you've got the chordal thing. So at least you can do that on the piano.
Yeah.
So we've talked about your poli-sci background, and we've talked about you've traveled many different places. Last year you're in Italy. How do you? I'm just curious, because of we know each other. I know certain issues are very important to you. How do you find the arts? What is their role? That's such a big question, I know. But in your career, have you found ways to, or worked with directors or other people that have brought into certain questions and different thoughts on that?
Okay.
Sorry to like just,
no,
but I know you're a very curious person, and I'm just curious.
Well, I think like the role of arts in the world is, twofold. I mean, it's entertainment for people, but it's also a mirror, in a way, to show society what it is, whether that's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, it is important that in the arts we hold the mirror up to ourselves sometimes and realize when, the power structures that be are not as equal for everyone to have a place in the arts. I mean, in the opera world, there are a lot of very famous non-white singers.
Mm-hmm.
It's way harder for them, and
Right.
many of them face a lot of racism that is, leads can't be a certain color or whatever that might be. But it's important that we also hold ourselves to the same standards that we are purporting to hold
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the world to.
Right.
But it is it's important, though. I think that's one of the cool things about some of the really cool grassroots classical music that goes on in the world. Some orchestras do a really good job about having some diversity, and but a lot of the kind of smaller grassroots opera and stuff, they try and tackle maybe bigger issues sometimes, which can
Mm-hmm.
be very good to see.
Right.
I think it slowly bleeds over into the larger organizations, which is what needs to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree completely with you. Because of those grassroots, they're perhaps might be a bit more able to move the ship a bit quicker in certain things. And like you say, it's great to have those groups, lighting the fires under all the other organizations. And like you said, a lot of organizations are doing a lot of great work, but we all need to do, of course, more and more. And I think art can be that wonderful mirror for better or for worse, and it's it's a great thing to have for sure. Yeah. Good. We're getting close to 7:30. Is there anything else that you want to touch on? And what I know this in COVID times, obviously performances are fewer. That's an understatement. But there are concerts starting to happen around the world, and especially with single groups or one or two people. And you mentioned recitals. Do you have any plans to have a recital coming up? Or
I'm planning on doing some sort of streamed recital in July or August at some point.
Exciting.
That is the plan. It won't be anything too, probably just kind of the hits from things I know, that sort of thing. Just to sort of have a reason to do something. But otherwise, the opera has their prom series coming up in July, and there's a concert that I'm a part of. There's 3 singers: Jardina, Gertler Jaffe, myself, and Kristan Levy are doing it. That's on the 22nd of July.
Okay.
A classical guitar concert on the 15th, and then on the 29th, there'll be the Fuller sisters. Maria Fuller, who was going to be conducting Traviata, is a lot of her sisters are home, and so they're all gonna throw something together. I mean, they all play 17 instruments each, so
right. It'll be a fuller house. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's great. So remind us again the dates. July 22nd is the first one?
So the 15th is the first one.
15th, sorry.
And the 22nd, and the 29th. So it's the 3 Wednesdays.
Great. And where is that being held again?
It'll be streamed online, so it'll be that information will be sent out and on the social media, that sort of stuff.
Wonderful. That's it's great that in this time we can still do a lot of creative stuff, a lot of new stuff as well. And I know the opera's had prom nights before, but that's great that they're continuing, because they're always like a nice summer thing to have.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Well, thanks, Spencer. This has been really nice. And I did not call you tenor once through the whole thing. I think it was because, so for all of you out there, and it's not just me, but I think since probably one of the first times I ever met you years ago, I accidentally called you tenor, because Spencer and tenor, they don't really sound the same, but they have 2 syllables. And so it's been a bit of a running joke, and I feel bad each time I do it. But that's thank you for noting that there. And please let everyone know about your recital coming up in July or August.
I will, definitely will.
Yeah, and thank you for all of you for listening. Please visit our website. We have ongoing music from underrepresented composers, some terrific stuff that it's wonderful because you go into certain music that we post, and then they go down the YouTube rabbit hole into so much other exciting music that we should hear way more of, and that is terrific of all styles there. So please check that out, and join us on Thursday. It is Singer Month, but we're going to have Duff Workington on, who is a conductor of the SSO Chorus and a good friend to the symphony. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you very soon. Thanks, Spencer.
Thank you.
Okay, bye, everyone.